In this video, we will learn about the various stages of sexual reproduction and animal breeding. Each and every organism has a certain lifespan and they have to continue their generation. Reproduction is the process through which organism passes their genetic material to the next generation. Ms. Ranju Bajpai of Puran Chandra Vidya Niketan, Kanpur will tell us more about this topic.
Today we'll start on a new topic, and that is sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is basically formation of haploid gametes, fusion of these haploid gametes and development of a zygote. There are basically three phases in the life cycle. The first phase is called as juvenile phase. Second phase is called as reproductive phase. And the third phase is called as sensate stage phase. We'll start first with the juvenile phase. The juvenile phase is called as the pre-reproductive phase, which is a period of rapid growth. In this, the growth takes place and differentiation of the cell organisms takes place, and later on this juvenile phase, in plants this juvenile phase is called as vegetative phase. Later on, this juvenile phase is followed by reproductive phase. Reproductive phase is the phase when a plant or an animal attains sexual maturity. And the third phase is the sensate phase. Sensate phase is the phase in which there is deterioration of all the organs like plants, like the body cells, the lungs, tissues and livers in the physiology and the structure of animals, and the efficiency of all the organisms starts decreasing. We'll come to this reproductive phase. This reproductive phase in plants, especially in flowering plants, is of two types. The reproductive phase in the flowering plants is basically of two types, and these two types are called as monocarpic plants, and the second one is called as polycarpic plants. Monocarpic plants are those plants which flower only once throughout their lifetime, and then they flower, fruit and then they die. Examples: it can be an annual, it can be a biennial, or it can be a perennial. The example of annual is sunflower, example of biennial is radish, an example of perennial. There is a special type of flowering mechanism which is present in two types of plant species. One is bamboo species. Bamboo flowers once during its lifetime, and that is near about 50 to 100 years, once during 50 to 100 years. Later on it fruits and then it dies off. And similarly, there is one more plant in which there is a special flowering mechanism which flowers only once during its lifetime, and it gives fruits and later on it dies. The name of that plant is Strobilus Strobilanthus puntiana. Then the other type of plants are polycarpic plants. Polycarpic plants are those plants which after attaining sexual maturity fruit every year, and the examples of polycarpic plants are China rose, rose and other type of angiospermic plants. Later on, next let us come to the next topic, and that is animal breeding. Animal breeding is the phenomena which is the periodicity of breeding of particular kind of animals, and this animal, according to animal breeding, the entire animals can be divided into two categories. The two categories are seasonal breeders and continuous breeders. Seasonal breeders are those which breed only for a particular time in a season, and such animals are called as seasonal breeders. Example: frogs, lizards and many types of birds. And continuous breeders are those animals which breed after attaining sexual maturity. They breed throughout their lifetime, and the examples of continuous breeders are dogs, cats, human beings, etc.
Juvenile phase, also known as pre-reproductive phase, where rapid growth occurs. In plants, this juvenile phase is called as vegetative phase. Reproductive phase, a plant or animal attains sexual maturity. Senescent phase. Deterioration of all the organs takes place. In flowering plants, reproductive phase is mainly of two types, monocarpic plants and polycarpic plants. Strobilus kuntiana and bamboo plants flower once in its lifetime, so they are an example of monocarpic plant. China rose and rose plants flower every year in its lifetime, so they are an example of polycarpic plant. Frog, lizards and many types of birds are the example of seasonal breeding. Dogs, cats and human beings are the example of continuous breeding.
For more such videos, log on to CBSE section of jagranjosh.com.